Good afternoon. We'll call the meeting to order. We're trying this. I hope you can hear us better. The dais like this. We're going to just try this a little bit because sometimes the table was hard to hear. So the LAWA board members are up at the dais. Eventually, I'm getting better mics, but I'm on a budget constraint, so I don't quite have that yet for you. I'll be like Grand Forks then. But we're going to do that. We have a big agenda today, so we're going to move through it. But what will happen, anybody on staff who's presenting, if they come to the podium down there and give their presentation. And also, if you see on the agenda, you're up next. If you'd kindly get moving towards that location, it'd be helpful for us to move things along. So Mary, do I have any introductions? Anybody different today? Nope. Okay. Can I have a roll call, please?
Sure. Eltoff.
Here.
Bigwood.
Yes.
Wojcinski.
Here.
Moen.
Here.
Broussard.
Here.
Carlsrud.
Here.
Erdman.
Here.
Idzo.
Here.
Mahoney.
Here.
Nielsen.
This is Brian Riley for Keith Nielsen.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Schmaltz.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here.
Dardis.
Here.
Lambert. Moe. Siegert. We have a quorum.
Very good. For the agenda, I'm going to ask for approval of the agenda, but I am going to put an executive session in after tab 8 2C. So it'll be after the Agassiz Water Users District is discussed. We would go in executive session, and at that time, Katie will explain to you the logistics of that. So do I have a motion?
Can I add some other items to the agenda? Is my mic on or not?
Just press the button, green, if it's a green button. What would you like to add, Tom?
Well, back in February, we sent a letter to Garrison Virgin requesting about 5 different items. Doesn't come on. There we go. Hold it. Okay, back in February, we sent a letter addressed to Jay Anderson at the Garrison Diversion about 5 different items, and I guess we've never really heard any information back from Garrison Diversion other than I know they put together a proposed operational planning and responsibility matrix, and I'd like to get that on the agenda.
Okay, so that'll be addressed during executive session, and there will be a motion
That would
after
be
that.
addressed during this session for the whole board. For the
Yeah, but with some of the stuff we
board.
have to address in executive session, then they'll come back down to the whole board.
Okay, that's fine if that's how it has to go.
Yeah, that's how it is. Open meeting laws, we have to do it that way, but we will. Brent, am I right on that? Or as far as that being addressed there? Where's Brent at?
Yeah.
Correct, okay. So can I have a motion to approve the agenda with the executive session?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of April 16th, 2025?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second Schmidt.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Isn't that easy? Oh, God. Okay, Mary, you're up. Budget analysis, tab B, and bills paid, tab C.
Okay. If you would please turn to tab B in your books, that's the budget analysis statement, and I'll just kind of hit the main headings on this. So Lake Agassiz income budget for the year is $36,945. That's basically the dues income. As of May 31st, we've actually received $22,000. Balance remaining of $14,000. Total expense budget for the year is $227,050. As of May 31st, Lake Agassiz has spent $137,072 with a remaining expense budget of a little over $89,000. So if you add that up, beginning balance in the bank on January 1st was $251,000. Add the income received of $22,000, subtract a couple bank fees. Lake Agassiz had $273,618 available to spend, and all of the expense items and checks that have been cut are listed there. They total $137,072. So as of May 31st, the ending bank balance was $136,546.
And do we need to approve this?
Yes, please.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Eltoff,
Yes.
Bigwood,
Yes.
Paczynski,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Broussard,
Yes.
Carlsrud,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Idzel,
Yes.
Mahoney,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
Schmaltz,
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Barry, you're up again.
Yep, and then tab C lists all of the invoices that have been paid since the last meeting, and they're the ones that are highlighted in yellow at the bottom of the budget expense budget. And if there were any questions, I would answer those.
Any questions about the bills? Do I also need a motion for this?
I don't think so,
Don't think so, because it's already
because it's
covered,
already in the
right?
budget.
Okay. Summary of dues and cost share paid. Tab
Yep,
D.
and tab D is just there for your information to show which systems have paid. This is as of May 31st. I do know that more have come in June. That will be reflected on the next LAWA board book. So
Thank you.
that's just for your information as well.
Item 4, consultant work plan review of Vice Chair Boshinsky to explain.
Yep, thank you. Myself and Mayor Mahoney had a great meeting with Paul Boersma. Took a little while to get it done, but ultimately we had a good meeting. And this was just a review of the invoices from 2024. I think the broader story here is I think there was a lot of contracted work that didn't really get fulfilled all the way because of some efficiencies, which in the end is pretty phenomenal. That means we're saving some money there. So I think there was a bit of a miscalculation there. So happy to get that explanation, and I think there's a commitment to work through that and solve that through 2025. So I'll continue to review that. We come to an agreement to get the summaries. So you'll see the summaries of the invoices now listed on, I think it's on tab E, but you'll see that going forward. If any other members want to see the detailed list of invoices, we'll have a link that you can go to do that. I'll review them, but I don't think everyone needs to. So if you want that link, I'll definitely share. I think the last piece, talking about overseas work and just knowing, where we're at with, America First and a lot of movement towards keeping work here in the U.S. Paul had committed that, throughout this year and going forward, they're going to try to limit the amount of work that's going over to India and into other places and have that, being within the United States. So I think that's positive, and I appreciated him coming out and meeting with us in person. So just want to give Paul a thank you for that. And that's my update.
Any questions by the members? The other thing we talked with Paul about is the boards of Garrison and the board of LAWA, sometimes looking over philosophy of percentages of work you want to give, if you want to keep it local or what you would like to do, and perhaps to look at percentages, because I think initially that was presented to us, Dwayne brought that to us, is that we're trying to do more local work if we could. So we'd like to continue to do that as on a yearly basis when we're looking for the next year's budget. And then Kip will also make us aware of that as we go forward. Brent Bogard will work with them as well and bring it to the attention of the board if there's any differences that come about. Any questions? Thank you. Series C reimbursement request. Mary, you're on again.
Yeah, if you would just go to tab F, this is actually Series C and prior. These are the reimbursement requests that we send into the State Water Commission. Garrison pays all of the bills and then puts them into the State Water Commission. And again, these are just the cover sheets that go with it. We actually add every itemized bill when we send it to State Water Commission. If you ever want to see those, we'll definitely provide those. But for the Series C and prior, these are requests 65, 66, and 67. And if I would just hit 67, saying that the state funding approved for this set of series is $84 million, and there is $9.2 million remaining on that. So that is Series C, which is 21, 23, and prior. And if there were no questions, Mr. Chairman, I would go on to the Series D reimbursements, which start on tab G. And those start with the 23-25 biennium. When we were working with State Water Commission, they kind of just wanted to put a break and start over with the 23-25. So reimbursement requests 29 through 33 are included in there. And The State Water Commission's, the total was $180 million. That's what was approved last year, or last biennium for the Red River Valley Water Supply Project. And there's 106 million remaining of that. And then also showing in there was the Bank of North Dakota, the Series D loan of $60 million, and there's 35 million remaining. So again, those are just the cover sheets that we sent to the State Water Commission, showing the task orders and the efforts, but not the detailed invoices.
Any questions? We're spending the money, right?
The money is being spent.
We're not going to give money back to the state when we get done, right?
I don't think so.
Okay. So now we're going to interim finance agreement Series F. You and Brett Bogart explain?
Yeah, yep, I can start out with just a little bit of an overview. So as I just mentioned, Series D was the interim agreement to do the 23-25 biennium. There's also a Series E, which was to do for $4.5 million of federal MRI dollars. Fargo and Grand Forks only signed that one for $1.5 million. Since the PPA or other agreements are still being worked on, we are moving on our ABCs of the interim financing agreements, and we're up to Series F, which is proposed to cover the 25-27 biennium. The legislature approved $205 million total in state cost share for the Red River Valley Water Supply Project. And in turn, it would be $68.33 million for the local cost share. That total capacity is in Bank of North Dakota in the Water Infrastructure Revolving Loan Fund. And that's what Series F would cover, is the local cost share for this biennium's work plan. It has been drafted. It has been shared with some of the attorneys, just waiting for review and comments to come back. It is modeled after Series D. So same terms as Series D with the bank terms, and basically the same as Series D, just updating, but 2-year deferment with Bank of North Dakota, 3 years interest only, and it will be the SHAPE debt again. So we're just kind of reviewing and have a draft of Series F, but just working through getting it out to the systems.
So Mayor Carlswood was concerned about that in the SHAPE debt as well. So Dave, are you more comfortable now?
I was just going to raise my hand.
Okay.
So, for being one of the small users, and a number of us are here, and of the 7 of us who have signed MOUs now, MOCs, excuse me, this is just part of the $2 billion project, and it's stacked loans as we go along, right? And doesn't change our shape. And then, so why wouldn't we sign? Any reason? I mean, we're ready to move forward. We all want to go. And so I was asked, that we're going to be needing to sign Series F. Is there any reason why I would not?
I can't think of any reason you wouldn't.
That
Are
was
you
the right
asking that
answer,
to all
Tim.
of us, or just?
I was trying to set you up. It took a while, but you got it. Okay.
No, and we have to do this over the next 6 weeks. So.
Yeah. And so small users, please, if you have questions, please speak up.
Very good. Any? Tom?
Well, just to reiterate a little bit here, yes, this is an ongoing project. It's like a construction project, and we're paying as we go. So we're going to continue to incur debt as we go, and then different times we'll have interest-only payments, and eventually we will have principal payments. But yes, it's like a construction ongoing project that hopefully we get it done, but we probably have many more series of financing contracts to enter into before this gets finalized.
Mayor Bashinsky?
Yeah, and this question is ultimately going to be for the resolution that we're looking for at the end, because we want a little bit more clarity. I guess I'm in a little bit of a disagreement. Grand Forks has had a third party that's been reviewing some things, reviewing some of the foundational parts of the project. So we're, looking for some governance changes that will be important for us to continue, funding at the level that we have. Certainly will be a big part of the project, but where that lands and whether Series F is something that we continue on and our funding is of question. So for us, it's going to be important to see how things play out today and in the future. So I wanted to have an understanding if we sign this as a LAWA board and move forward, and this question would be for Shockley, what are we, is this an up to amount, or are we committing that law was going to have this funding, because I think that's important for some of the other users. If there's a change in who's funding this, that would fall on other people, whether it's a small user or a larger one like Grand Forks is.
Mr. Chair, members of the LAWA Board, Mayor, if one of the member entities does not sign, that's currently signed up for an allocation, does not sign this series, then that percentage would be redistributed to the other members that do sign. I do know that there are some concerns that have been expressed by some of the member entities regarding the next phase of financing. So I've been coordinating with those attorneys from those member entities to see what changes could be included within the Series F documentation to satisfy those concerns and relay those back to Garrison Diversion. I think as we discuss items later today, that will be also be included as part of that motion.
Very good.
Yeah, just, so I guess back to this resolution, could you just give us, what is this actually sort of resolving and how, what's the firm commitment then? Is LAWA locked in then to this dollar amount upon signing this resolution, or is this works through the Water Commission and, preliminary and then final? Is there other, opportunities to size this, based on the local funding?
So great question. The resolution that is before you is a resolution concurring in the submission of the packet to the State Water Commission. It is not a formal loan document or a guarantee. It's just submitting the packet to the State Water Commission. That's usually goes in with that there's a general consensus that there's local funding in place. Later on, the documents to support that funding, whether it be loan documents or other cash in lieu, that would be part of any financing documents. So what the board is doing today is just consenting to the submittal of that package with this resolution. And so if there was a change in participation from the member entities or change in the structure of the project, I don't believe that this resolution necessarily commits you to that. It's just committing to joining in the submission of the packet to the State Water Commission.
Okay, thank you. I guess just one follow-up. Is that the same belief that, I guess we got legal counsel from Garrison? Do you agree with that assessment of this, or would you need more time to consider?
No, generally. I mean,
Okay.
you guys have your own choice.
Didn't mean to make you get up. Thank you.
That's okay. I totally agree on the resolution, the points of the resolution. I think that's completely fine. I think that your decision on Series F is, there was the comment made that if not everybody signs, it would be reallocated among other people. The other option would be you would only take the loan or take the money from the state that you have matching funds for. Because that's kind of what we did with Series D, is we had Fargo and Grand Forks that were in up front. We said, okay, we're going to spend the money that we have allocated from the state only up to that point, and we're not going to spend anything else unless other people come to the table. And so you could use a similar approach here with Series F and say whoever's in and signs by the date, that's what we have available. That's the extent of the money. And, I don't know that anybody wants to be in a position where we have to tell the legislature we didn't use the money. But if you don't have matching funds, the two options, only build so much or everybody else has to take a bigger share.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll look at it as an up to amount then. Appreciate it.
Okay, I think that brings me back to the State Water Commission update. Kind of already talked about it, but just to say that previously the Garrison Diversion Board and the Lake Agassiz Board approved requesting the 150 million state cost share from the state plus the 50 million in the local. And the State Water Commission approved that roughly 2 weeks ago at their meeting. So this next one is we were asked by Lake Agassiz and Garrison leadership to get ready to submit the remaining cost share, which is $55 million. And then 18.33 million in the local cost share. And that's what that resolution is for. The application to the State Water Commission is due on Monday, so we have a start of that. Garrison Diversion Board approved their resolution last week at their meeting, so this is the resolution for Lake Agassiz if you want to continue to ask for that 55 million, and then this would be included in the cost share application.
So this is in the packet, in our board packet, basically. And what we would be voting on today is proceed with this, and basically you'd be signing people up after that. So can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve the resolution to Lake Agassiz Water to the Department of Net Water Resources.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Altough. Pigwood.
Yes.
Wachinski.
Yes.
Moen.
Yes.
Broussard.
Yes.
Carlsrud.
Yes.
Erdman.
Yes.
Hidzo.
Yes.
Mahoney.
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Schmaltz.
Yes.
And Schmidt.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Very good. Kip Kovar, construction update.
Good afternoon. Let's see. I brought a few slides for you today on construction. Think I got it?
We don't see any pictures of any big ditches.
You gotta go to the slide.
Oh, thank you. Just a reminder of some of the contracts that are out there. We've completed the work over at the Missouri River. Moving to the center of your page, active contracts are 5D, 6A, 5B, 5C, and at the end of the line, we've completed the work at the discharge structure. Just a pipeline kind of install update. So contract 5D, that is east of town, or west of town, sorry. They have 6.3 miles in the ground out of their 10. Contract 5B under Garney, they have all their pipe in the ground. Contract 5C, they're at 3.7 in the ground out of 8. And 6A just got kind of rolling. Give you a few metrics of kind of the past years. There's many different reasons why these have risen, but you can see in 2024 we did get to 11 miles. Our goal is going to be about 15 miles per year. And then just combining my construction update and the report in your board book, the work plan update, I'll walk through that. So under 5B, I mentioned all the pipes in the ground, all the manholes are done, and so we're filling that pipeline right now as we speak. And so we'll hydrostatically test that when they're done. I think they have about 2 miles left of restoration to restore there. And to date, we've spent 39 million out of the 45. Contract 5C, this year they have 75 feet of pipe in the ground. They're in a very deep section, so each piece of pipe that goes in the ground has to be surrounded by concrete, so it's just a long progress. They're going to be up and out of that pretty soon, and they'll be off and running. I think they have roughly 7,000 feet of restored property. Turning to the second page of my report there, 5D, this is Karstensen out of South Dakota. They have been knocking it out of the park. They've been doing just a great job. So past years, past seasons, we've never put any pipe in the ground in April. The most we put in May was 2 sticks of pipe. Well, these guys, over the winter, they haul their aggregate in, they stage their pipe, they get everything ready during the winter, don't beat the roads up. They started in April, we had a dry spring. They put 2.2 miles of pipe in the ground already this year. So they really have things figured out, and it's nice to see. And then lastly, in my report there, contract 6A, we're just stripping the topsoil. Pipe's going to be coming in here in the next week, and they're going to be off and running after the 4th, putting pipe in that one. And then I would just like to mention, as far as the right-of-way effort goes, that's been a big effort going back to 2009. We have started on the right-of-way and the easement gathering. We're down to 4 landowners on that right-of-way effort. So that's a really good thing. And those we're working out some tweaking of the alignment. It's all, nothing legally there. It's just a working out of progress with them. Any questions with the construction update?
Any questions? Any of the members? No, thank you.
Okay, then moving on to the 2023 or the 2025 binding work plan. That's in your board books on tab I. So that you've been looking at for the last 2 years. As a reminder, that's 246 million. All of that has been allocated, and we're moving on that. And I would just take any questions with that one before I move on to the draft 25-27 biennium work plan.
Any questions on the 23-25? Okay, then we'll go to the 25-27.
So that one's on page J. So the total biennium budget is 273 million. I would take you to some just of the significant items in this one. So line 3, that is contract 6B, installing about 9 miles of pipe. Item number 4 is contract 6C, that would be about 8 miles of pipe. And 7A, which is about 6.5 miles of pipe. So in total on this biennium work plan, there's about 24 miles of pipe right there. And obviously, you guys have to approve, you have to sign Series F to allow us to understand how much we're gonna bid. If you don't allocate all of your budget, then we'll just trim back these pipeline contracts.
But your anticipation is you'll do bidding this fall?
Yeah, as soon as you guys give us the green light, the advertisements are ready and waiting. It takes a couple weeks to get those into the papers. And then there's a 3-week time period that you have to have those in, and then you can open bids and all that good stuff. So yeah, sooner the better on that. And then maybe just point out one other significant item on the biennium work plan. If you turn to the next page, item 8. If approved, this would be building in a road to the biowater treatment plant and site development to get the plant started. So those are the significant items from your biennium work plan. Again, this is draft. You guys have not approved this, but it's there for your use.
Thank you. Any questions, Commission? Then we can go to program schedule. Okay,
Yep, tag K is your schedule. Just realized that we've kind of updated it to today's date with the status of 5B, 5C, 5D. We have 6A in there. We'll adjust this again once we understand when we're going to start bidding 6B, C, and 7A. And then we have in here just anticipated when we might start the biowater treatment plant. So schedule's up to date. When things move, we'll make adjustments.
very good. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I'd like to,
Tom?
if we go ahead and approve what you just approved, the 205 million, how many of these projects can you bid? All 3 of them that you have already designed and planned out? The 3 pipeline items and then also the road to the McCluskey Canal area?
Yeah, so if the state provided you 205 million with the local match, it would be the entire budget here, and you could achieve all those. You could achieve 6B, 6C, 7A, and the work to the pumping plant. If you start trimming back a little bit, then we would have to adjust that and work with you guys to see what we'd want to remove.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
User engagement, Steve Burren.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. At previous meetings, I've done a pretty comprehensive job of updating where we're at with user engagement, and maybe instead of replowing that same ground, I'll just let you know that since the last presentation I made, we did get 2 additional memorandum of commitment signups. One was from Walsh Rural Water District, which is the county around the city of Grafton, and the other was from Agassiz Water Users District, which is the rural water district north and west of the city of Grand Forks. And then not on the agenda for today, but just for your knowledge, is Northeast Rural Water District, which is Pembina County and Cavalier County up in the far extreme northeast corner of the state, did meet this morning and also voted to sign a memorandum of commitment for 3.2 CFS. And so that will be another user that's brought to the table in the future. As you remember from the past meeting, we were asked to wrap up the user engagement process for the MOC, and we were asked to look at 3 different approaches. One would be, or I guess elected to look at 3 different approaches. One would be to just stop abruptly. One would be to turn over every stone that we thought was out there with additional counties and prospective users. And the last one was to do more of a soft landing where we just continued to communicate with anybody that was still on the fence And that middle of the road approach is what we elected and presented to you for your concurrence. And so moving forward, we do still have a handful of users that are pondering the project. One is Ransom County, and there's a meeting with them on July 1st. Dakota Rural Water Users is still contemplating potentially joining the project. That would be in that Finley-Sharon area of North Dakota. Trail County is still contemplating participation, and there's a meeting with them on July 15th. And then 2 cities in southeastern North Dakota, Ellendale and potentially Oaks, are still either considering it or there's some locals really trying to push it. And then lastly, Devil's Lake is still pondering consideration. And so we don't do anything more than reach out to them on a regular basis to see if they're ready to meet or need any additional information, which has reduced the spend probably almost tenfold in terms of the way that we're approaching the users, and we'll continue to update you on those users moving forward. Are there any questions on item F1?
Mayor Paczynski?
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Could you remind us of these? Which are the 7 that have had some financial commitment to the project through debt financing?
Yes, I can do my best, Mayor Boczynski. The first 2 are obviously Fargo and Grand Forks, and then after that, it's some municipalities right along that middle corridor. So Hillsborough, Mayville, Cooperstown, Carrington, and Valley City are the 5 that signed the pre-D2 memorandum of commitment with the October 25th, 2024 deadline.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
No other questions?
Moving on to F2, I think last time I sat down and somebody had to scramble to handle this. And so you do there's a joint approval process for any of the MOCs that are signed. Richland County had voted quite a while ago, but didn't get their MOC in. So you do have that in tab M. And then I mentioned earlier that since our last meeting, Walsh Rural Water District and Agassiz have both signed memorandum commitments. Those are both before you, and I think from the bold, you'd need to approve all 3 of those MOCs.
I would take a motion to approve all 3 of those MLCs, please. So moved by Dave Carlswood. Is there a second?
Second, Schmidt.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Eltoff. Bigwood.
Yes.
Paczynski.
Yes.
Moen.
Yes.
Broussard.
Yes.
Carlsrud.
Yes.
Erdman.
Yes.
Idzo.
Yes.
Mahoney.
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Schmaltz.
Yes.
And Schmidt.
Yes.
Executive session.
Motion's carried.
Thank you.
And I see as I stumbled to do that by memory, the next slide actually had the exact information that Mayor Boczynski was
I
asking
should have
for.
waited, thank you.
All good. Thank you.
Next item is to go in executive session. Katie will explain the nuances of that, and then we would take a motion in a second.
The next item on the agenda today is contract negotiation strategies and attorney consultation regarding the following items. 1, Garrison Diversion's filing of a water storage permit application in Lake Ashtabula. 2, a letter received from Garrison Diversion's attorney on June 25th, 2025. And 3, to provide negotiation direction regarding items 1, 2, and in regard to a water supply agreement. These items may be discussed in executive session. The legal authority for closing this portion of the meeting is Century Code Sections 4404 19.1, 2, and 9, and 4404 19.2. Discussion of these items in an open meeting could adversely impact the board's contract bargaining positions and could ultimately result in adverse fiscal effects on the board's bargaining positions. Therefore, an executive session is necessary and warranted. Mr. Chair, at this time, a motion would be in order to discuss these topics in executive session.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Do I have to do roll call on that too? Roll call vote, please.
Eltoff. Yes. Bigwood.
Yes.
Boczynski.
Yes.
Moen.
Yes.
Broussard.
Yes.
Carlsrud.
Yes.
Erdman.
Yes.
Idzo.
Yes.
Mahoney.
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Schmaltz.
Yes.
And Schmidt.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
We'll go up to the Red River Room, third floor of this building, and go into executive session. We will then be coming back down to this room and re-engage the meeting.
Brent, are you going to get the number?
What a disciplined board. You came right back. I usually lose board members. I only have 5 on my commission, but usually they drift off somewhere and then come back. Okay. Call the session back into order. We had an executive session, and we do have a motion that is presented to us. I suppose, Katie, we just read it, or what would be the best way?
If someone would like to make the motion, they can just read it.
So the motion is, I move that the LAWA Board direct and authorize the LAWA attorney and special attorneys from Fargo and Grand Forks to work on a collaborate in developing agreements between LAWA and Garrison. This should include a focused effort in identifying and defining the appropriate roles and responsibilities of Garrison and LAWA, including the concept of split delivery and allocating the project operation and control as between Garrison and LAWA, as well as establishing clear mechanisms for accountability between LAWA and Garrison. The attorneys are directed to incorporate these elements into draft agreements and to report back to the LAWA Board with progress updates and any recommendations for further actions. Do I have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? And I think the board also wanted to recommend that we get a progress report, as Tom has requested, within 6 weeks. Is that correct? Okay, if no discussion, did we have discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Okay, we'll start from the bottom. Pritchard,
Yes.
Schmaltz,
No with reservations.
Riley. You say yes? Mahoney,
Yes.
Idzo,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Carlsrud,
Yes?
Broussard,
Yes.
Moen,
Yes.
Machensky,
Yes.
Bigwood,
Yes.
and Eltoff. Motion is carried.
You goof us up when you go backwards. Okay. We'll move to item 8, project participation agreement update and plan. John Shockley to explain.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, and thank you for the prior motion. I don't have a specific report today other than to provide a verbal update. With the motion and the authorization to proceed, I'll be reaching out to counsel for Garrison. I have been having internal meetings with special counsel for Grand Forks and Fargo, getting their input regarding different provisions of agreements and the overall structuring of what those agreements would look like. I anticipate starting drafting, more fully drafting and negotiations of the contracts within the next 6 weeks and providing feedback to the board. My understanding is the goal is to move this along as quickly as possible, and so I'll be providing regular updates to the board on the subject matter. But once again, I don't have a specific written report today.
Thank you, John. So we basically have unfinished business. Katie, you're going to talk about LAWA bylaws and revision, and please explain to the board what the motion would do today.
Sure. So we've seen the bylaws now a handful of times. The big outstanding issue that we had remaining was voting. And so I've met with a handful of various directors and discussed through that. If you look, it's section 6H in your draft. Where we've landed is that for all of the regular votes, everyone has one vote. There won't be any sort of weighted voting that goes with that. It's just 1 for 1. The compromise that we arrived at instead of weighted voting was to add things more to the supermajority list. And so you'll see that's 2/3 vote of all of the directors of the board. So it's not just those that are present at the meeting, it's 2/3 of the entire board. You'll see A through I. Sub I are the ones that are listed there, the things that would require a supermajority vote. And then when you have the supermajority, it's 2/3 plus an affirmative vote from the director from Grand Forks and the director from Fargo. So that's kind of where we've landed on those. That was the big ticket item. Today is more of a discussion point to see if we can kind of get some resolution on where we are with voting. The current version of the bylaws requires 30 days prior to the first reading that the revisions are sent to the secretary, and then 15 days prior to the first reading, they're sent to all the board members. And we didn't meet those time limitations this time. So the plan today would hopefully be able to get on the same page with voting, move forward with that, and then have a first reading at the next meeting.
And if we voted for it today and had those changes that we wanted, then the next time we present that, those changes could be presented to the board for action. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yep, those will be part
So
of the
voting
first.
on it today just moves it forward that we'd be able to give the state, and then it makes it closer to Mayor Dardis could actually be on the board?
Yes.
Okay. Questions or comments?
So this would be considered the first reading?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Nope, it'd be a first reading following this one. We just have to meet those time requirements before it.
Okay, thank you.
Tom?
So the only issue that I guess going back to section 4, there was more counties that needed to be listed and they didn't get listed on here. So you're going to add, you should add McLean, Sheridan, and Foster for sure. And then I wrote down Wells County, but because we have the membership from McLean and Sheridan County. And then, of course, Carrington is located in Foster County. So that just, I would ask that you add those counties. I think I asked the last time, but they did not get added into there.
Yeah, we can certainly list them, but they're members just by means of the board of voting, but we can specifically list them out if you'd like.
Right, well, I guess we have all the other counties where this whole project is at, so it's
Yeah.
appropriate to probably include all the counties where the pipe's in the ground and as it comes across the state.
Yeah, those are set statutorily, but we can certainly add that those have been added as members.
Okay. And then just clarify the section 6 of section, again, about the affirmative. So a 2/3 majority with the affirmation of Grand Forks and Fargo. So if they're included as a yes vote in the 2/3, that they affirm that, correct?
Yes, they would have to be part of the 2/3, and then as part of the 2/3, you would need Fargo and Grand Forks to both be yeses
Right,
in order
so-
to pass the supermajority.
So what could happen here then if we say Fargo and Grand Forks were not affirmative? Do they themselves eliminate, if there's a 2/3 majority already, they would eliminate that vote?
Right, it'd be essentially like a veto.
But the odds are they would probably be included in the 2/3 anyway. That's the confusing part about the supermajority. But it just pertains to those items that are listed here, A through I is what that, basically covers, but of course, those are major items with spending and hiring and establishing committees and so forth. It's a lot of the activity that we do, but.
A lot of stuff would be regular vote. Dave, you had a comment?
Yeah, just a comment that, I thought we had something figured out here with the 1-for-1 vote because we had 5 of the 13 votes representing large users, and there only need 2 more. Okay, so that protects, we're looking to protect the small users from the big users, which that serves the purpose. However, Brandon pointed out that we could still have 7 small users, then have Fargo and Grand Forks pay all the bills. And so that's not right. And so that philosophy will not work. And this sounds like it could or would.
Yeah, we kind of want to get away from weighted voting, make it feel a bit better, and we all vote here anyway. It seems like we're kind of a group that usually gets along pretty well. So I think this will work. Do I have a motion? Or Commissioner
I'll
Brzezinski?
move with a quick comment. I think this saves Lisa some work on adding up all the percentages each time there's a vote too. You just got to count one. So I think that'll be good. So I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Bernie, I'm getting you closer.
One question. In regards to section 5B4, when it's talking about the directorship for Moorhead, it has it listed as an associate member. I just want to clarify, if we have 13 voting board members, does that mean with this listing here that Moorhead would still retain a voting seat?
So right now, Moorhead has been moved. You're part of the board of directors. This is like this because this is how it is statutorily, and so that's why the bylaw reflects this.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
We didn't want to cut you out.
There you go.
Roll call vote.
Okay, I'll start at the bottom again. We're going to go with Pritchard,
Yes.
Schmaltz,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
Mahoney,
Yes.
Idso,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Carlsrud,
Yes.
Broussard,
Yes.
Moen,
Yes.
Bachensky,
Yes.
Bigwood,
Yes.
Eltoff. Motion's carried.
Next item is the LAWA Administrative Support Agreement handout. I think, Brent, you can explain this one, please.
Yes, Chairman, members of the board. Originally, the thought in the memo was handed out. Hopefully, you've got a chance to read that, and I apologize that it wasn't in the packet earlier for you to review. But we'd actually started with a new agreement with new scope was kind of the concept, because my agreement ends at the end of the month, June 30th. And with all of the activities that have been going on and looking at the operational responsibilities, those types of things, it could change what the scope looks like. So what's being proposed here is to just extend the existing agreement through the end of the calendar year. And during that time, we can work on a new scope, whether that's a scope for me or whether that's other people coming in to serve in certain roles, those types of things. So this is just basically a 6-month extension of the agreement that is currently in place.
Mayor Bachensky?
Yeah, and I mean, I was one of the ones that was interested in trimming that up because as LAWA takes more of a role, I think it's important that we look at, how this role goes forward. Is this going to be, put out to different firms and have different options there? So I think it made sense to keep it till the end of the year. That gives us plenty of time to sort of sort out the staffing levels that we would need in the future. So I didn't want to be tied to 2 years of something when we may make a change and hire a different firm or a different director. So, or a different person to help out. I know that's not your title. What is your title, Brent? Mr. Bogar?
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave it at that.
Do I have a motion? Move. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Schmaltz,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
Mahoney,
Yes.
Idso,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Carlsrud,
Yes.
Broussard,
Yes.
Moen,
Yes.
Bachensky,
Yes.
Bigwood,
Yes.
and Eltoff.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
We have resolution of condolence for Bill Bonsack, and I wanted Mayor Bachensky to read it for us.
All right, thank you. Resolution of condolence and appreciation for the life and service of Bill Bonsack. Whereas the Lake Agassiz Water Authority mourns the passing of our respected member of the board and friend, Bill Bonsack. And whereas Bill, with distinction as a member of the LAWA board, bring thoughtful leadership, deep commitment, and a collaborative spirit to the advancement of water infrastructure and regional cooperation. And whereas, beyond his service to LAWA, Bill was a dedicated public servant and a community leader whose contributions enriched the lives of countless individuals across North Dakota through his work in local government, civic organizations, and public policy. And whereas Bill's integrity, wisdom, and kindness left a lasting impression on all who had the privilege to work alongside him. Now therefore be it resolved that the Lake Agassiz Water Authority expresses its deepest condolences to the family and loved ones of Bill Bonsack and honors his legacy of service, leadership, and friendship. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the official record of the authority and a copy be presented to his family as a token of our respect and gratitude. Passed and adopted by the Board of Directors of Lake Agassiz Water Authority on this 26th day of June 2025.
All those in favor of this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Is there any other new business? Yes? I overstepped it for just a sec, because I didn't think we'd have any reluctance on that one. Thank you. Well, then we stand adjourned. Thank you for all your good hard work, and we may be asking you to meet more often, so I just want to warn you of that. Appreciate that. And just if you give feedback to Brent about, did this work this way? If you could hear better and kind of interact better, it's up to you guys, but this is what this was designed for. It's just sometimes easier for people.